Welcome to Avoiding the Pitfalls of Non-Technical Managers. Like they said, my name is Victoria. I work at Blackstone Federal. We are a consulting firm primarily focused on Department of Homeland Security. And despite having over 12 years of experience in IT, I would consider myself to be a non-technical manager. So what does that mean when I say that? So for me, we can start with what's a technical manager. So I think a technical manager is someone who is both the expert in the technology in the product or project that they're managing, but is also responsible for managing the people, processes, and tools to be successful. So what do you do if Wonder Woman isn't on your team? What do you do? So this is how most people feel about their non-technical managers, but the truth is that this happens to everyone. It's impossible to be the expert on everything, and I learn something new every single day, like what's an Apache strut? So how do we be successful when we can't know everything about everything? Technology is extremely complicated, it changes every single day, and there's a lot of turns and twists you can take that could end up failing your entire project. So we'll talk about some of the common pitfalls and how to avoid them. A lot of this on both sides is about communication and it's about trust. First, we're going to talk about communications. So one of the biggest pitfalls is that you don't know what you're managing, you don't know anything about the technology, you don't know what you're talking about. So you go up to your customer and you say, yeah, we can get this done in a week, no problem, and it's going to be 100% secure and it's never going to fail. Everything's going to work. And then your technical team comes to you and says, hey, that's not possible. You didn't think about all these requirements, there's all these other issues we have to take care of, but you're like, well, I already told the customer this is what's happening, so it's happening. And that creates this lack of trust. So your team stops talking to you, stops telling you what's really going on your project. And they tell you that everything is fine. It's fine, of course we can make that deadline, because it doesn't matter. You're gonna say whatever you want anyways. And that means that you're not able to properly manage the risk on your project, and things are blowing up in your face at the last minute. So how do we walk that line, that very narrow line, and be successful with these projects? And for me, it's all about learning, constantly learning, like learning every single day, and making that a culture on your team. So always be learning. Take an hour a week to sit down with your technical lead and review the architecture of your system, or look at the code base, or talk about what's happening that week. 1 hour a week isn't that much time, and you can learn a lot. And then make that part of your team culture so everyone has that responsibility and that everyone is teaching each other about what they're doing on the project so that you can support each other in those moments when you have to talk about something that you might not know all the details. And eventually what happens with time is that you become a jack of all trades. And you can be a business analyst and write some requirements, or you can help with testing in the last week of a project when they really need additional support there. And that goes a long way in building trust too, that you're willing to get your hands dirty and do some work. But there's only 24 hours in a day, and there's an awful lot to learn. And you guys probably want to sleep or see your kids or something. So how do you focus on what's the most important thing for you to learn right now? Well, first, focus on your strengths. And your strength is being a manager. So you're a manager, be a good manager. There's lots of skills that go into that. One thing that I hear the most about is for meetings. And know how to run a good meeting. Have an agenda, stick to it, set time limits, and try to keep it short. There's a huge opportunity cost as well as actual cost to meetings, and it's a big source of frustration for a lot of teams. And then if you don't know what else, just ask, talk to your team members, ask them, what is the one thing I can do to better serve this team? How can I be better? And they'll tell you, and that's how you build that trust and honesty with your team that's critical to building high-performing teams. Then everyone can play to their strengths, do what they're good at, and support each other when they need it. Someone takes a vacation or they're just not there that day. So in summary, what I'm trying to say is be good at what you're good at and know a little bit about everything else. So be good at being a manager, be able to talk with your team, have good communication skills, and learn every single day about what you're managing, because that's just the nature of working in the technology field. So that's it for me. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here in Maryland, and that's all.